right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the May City of New Ulm Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review the agenda and minutes that were sent out ahead of time. We have no new guests or visitors, so we'll move right on to item number 2 of new business, and that is formal approval of the May 14th agenda. Are there any other recommendations or additions to the agenda? If not, I would look for a motion to approve.
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business, to review our April 9th meeting minutes, and hopefully again everyone had a chance to review them. Very detailed, lots of content there from our discussion last month. We'll look for any questions, corrections, recommendations on the minutes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to item number 4 for the monthly agenda would be the department activity report. This was again included in your packet, separated amongst programming, park, civic center, and community center, and recreation center, and administrative activities. Would look for any comments or questions as it relates to the April activity report. I'd love to see that we had over 1,000 registrations for the upcoming summer program. Outstanding participation. Any other questions for Director Schmitz or Assistant Director Corman? If not, this report will be filed with this evening's packet. On to item number 5, City Council meeting. Director Schmitz, there were 2 meetings, but it looks like only one where there was Park and Rec business being discussed.
Correct, Chair Fryer, thank you. And Commissioners, the April 17th City Council meeting saw the council accept the donations. They also had the second reading and adoption of the leash law ordinance change. They also authorized more extensive crosswalk painting in specific locations in the community. They also authorized bicycle pedestrian cautionary signs on 18th South Street in South Park. They also directed staff to present at least one other option for the Herman Heights Park retaining walls along Center Street. That option will be to mimic Martin Luther College's manufactured retaining walls, manufactured block retaining walls. So that information will be coming back to the council in the near future for a decision. They also received an order filed the 2017 City PUC Services Survey. They also approved the budget calendar for next year. 2019 budgeting has begun. And there are going to be some city council work sessions that have been scheduled also. They passed a resolution authorizing reimbursements from the 2018 sales tax bond sale that we're expecting to happen in June or July at the latest. And they approved the renewed timeline in the committee structure that you had recommended. So it was a big meeting at the City Council for Park and Rec on April 17th. And as Chair Fryer mentioned, there was nothing for from Park and Rec on the May 1st City Council meeting. So that's the action that's taking place with the City Council over the past month.
Okay, any questions for Director Schmitz on the City Council report? Do you know an approximate timeline, Director Schmitz, on receiving at least approximate pricing for the MLC alternative for the Herman Heights Park and landscape?
My understanding is that we'll have that within a month or less.
Okay.
I'm not quite certain if it's going to go directly back to council or if you'd like to see it first. The preliminary figures are looking at over 100% more costly than sloping that area.
And Bolton Make's already they started on it?
Yes, we retained Bolton and Mink Engineering Services for this project.
Not surprised, but I also know you were hoping to get that work done this year, so I just was wondering about the timing of having another proposal on design
Yeah,
put together.
we're still optimistic that it could be done late summer and autumn. And it's not a renew project, it's not a sales tax project, this was a regular budgeted project for the year.
And I don't know where else it would fit in the agenda, but maybe just ask you right now to comment on the Herman Monument. You saw everyone probably noticed the news about the monument.
Yes, yes.
Anything you can share with the commission and next steps?
You bet. Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. We have good news that the security and safety review has been completed, and the monument will be open, the exterior of the monument will be opening for this coming weekend. So we only missed the first 2 weekends in May. The interpretive center will remain closed until midsummer at the earliest, but people will be able to go inside the fence, walk around the monument, go up the monument, get on the, climb all the way up to the top. It's just that the interpretive center itself will not be open until further notice, which we're hoping we might be able to open that by midsummer. So the assessment continues. It's a two-part process. There's the preliminary assessment that's going to help create a restoration plan, and then this security and safety component that we've already completed now.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to old business. Item number 6 on the agenda, renew update. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. We are at the point now where the Oversight Committee has been established by the City Council. And you see in your packet, the Oversight Committee consists of the City Manager, the City Attorney, the Park and Recreation Director, 2 City Council representatives. They have already been chosen by the Council, Councilors Lisa Fisher and Larry Mack. And then 2 official representatives from the Park and Recreation Commission. And we need to elect those 2 or appoint those 2 commissioners at this meeting with this action form. There are some ex officio members, including the building official, finance director, assistant Park and Rec director, and the Park and Rec facility maintenance supervisor. So that's the Oversight Committee. That will have a fair amount of work to do over the next few years, and reviewing proposals and options and alternatives from not only staff but also consultants and experts, and forward those recommendations onto the City Council for final enaction. Other than that, there will be some subcommittees established, and the details of the subcommittees will be ironed out by the Oversight Committee. We anticipate their first meeting of the Oversight Committee to take place as soon as next week. And so as that, one of the items on that agenda will be, how do you as the Oversight Committee view the subcommittees? Do we want one subcommittee for each of the 7 projects, or can we get by maybe with fewer subcommittees? And then at that point, we'll have an opportunity for Park and Rec commissioners to sit on one of those various subcommittees, and other stakeholders certainly for the various projects. So the action necessary for today is to nominate, accept nomination, and vote in approval of 2 Park and Rec commissioners to be our representatives of the commission on the Renew Oversight Committee.
I'd like to nominate Toby Fryer to the committee.
Are you willing to accept that?
6 years then, right? I've already served 3. Yes, I'll accept the nomination.
Are
And-
there any other volunteers who want
Yeah.
to be on it? I mean, it's a commitment.
When do we meet all the time? I mean, is it in the middle of the day or?
I would imagine they're gonna be, staff's working anywhere from 7:30 to 4,
What,
but that's the time frame.
most of the time, it's mornings then? It could be?
Oh, it'll vary.
Vary.
You know,
Okay.
It'll be dependent upon the members of the oversight committee and staff. But normally it would be during the day.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter to me that much.
No.
I guess I would do it if
I mean, we do.
I
So-
would.
Okay.
I think having volunteers is,
Mhm.
I encourage anyone that's interested to volunteer. This is an
Mhm.
opportunity, obviously a pretty big impact for the community over the next 20, 30 years.
And if we have more than 2 nominations, we have a ballot that will distribute so that you can vote for 2 of however many are nominated. So who's, other than Toby, Leroy has been nominated?
interested?
Chris? Okay, so let's pass these out. And any other nominations?
So bad, but I can't be. That's a bummer.
Yeah, the city councilor cannot sit on the,
No.
we already have 2 councilors. I'll collect them if they're completed.
You get to vote, don't
Sure, we'll let you go.
I get to vote.
Suspense. We'll move on.
Okay, the results of our sealed ballot are Toby Fryer with 5 votes, Chris Vorwerk with 5 votes, and Leroy Floor with 2 votes. So we have, the commission has appointed Toby Fryer and Chris Vorwerk as their representatives to the Renew Oversight Committee. Thank you.
You want an official
Do
motion
we
on that?
wanna-
Bill?
I see we have an action sheet here. or do we
Yes,
need to-
I would suggest an official motion.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend the selected commissioners to the Renew Oversight Committee.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Report back at the next meeting. Any updates that we have from the oversight? Thank you, everyone. On to, any more on Renew, Director Schmitz?
You know, I don't think we have any other specific updates. Staff has prepared a fair amount of information that's going to be presented to the Oversight Committee. And now that the Oversight Committee has been completely established, I would anticipate a meeting to take place next week in preparation of hiring some consultants, experts, architects, engineers, and preparing for the bond sale. We
Okay.
had Hot Topics this past Friday, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, and that was, I think, well attended, and successful explanation to the community and to the attendees about where we're at with Renew It at this time. That's all I have on Renew It.
Okay. Stay tuned. As I had mentioned, this will be a standing agenda item for many months ahead. New business, item number 7, donations. And we have a donation action form in the packet. Director Schmitz, you want to summarize them?
Yes, thank you, Chair, Fire, and Commissioners. I'll read into the record the donations that have been offered to the city over the past month. For the Days of Play events, $250 cash from Hyman Construction Company. Also $250 cash from Laraway Roofing. For the Recreation on the Go, Rec on the Go program, a $10,000 cash award from New Ulm Medical Center, Alina Health, Neighborhood Healthy Activity Grant. The next donation is $100 cash from Kim Schwab, honoring Mike Reinartz for a German Park paverstone and improvements at German Park. At Washington Park, we have a memorial bench being offered to the value of $2,000 of an Artstone bench and concrete pad from Friends of Darlene Ubel, honoring her with proposed verbiage in your packet in loving memory of our daycare mom, Darlene Ubel. We didn't realize we were making memories, we just knew we were having fun. Forever in our hearts, your daycare kids. And the final donation is 2 buckthorn and woody vegetation pulling tools from Carol Fleege. So the grand total of cash donations is $10,600. And the in-kind donations of the bench and tools is valued at over $2,000. So I recommend that you forward these donations onto the City Council for their formal adoption and acceptance, especially in wanting you to review the proposed layout of the bench. You see that in your packet. If you're not, if you'd rather see different verbiage on the bench, I can go back to the donors and work on that. If you're okay with this verbiage, I would recommend we forward it on with the donations form to the City Council.
Thank you, Director Schmitz. Any questions on the donations this month?
Could you give an overview of the Rec on the Go program? What that entails and when it takes place and those kind of things?
Certainly, Chair Fryer, Commissioner Studadall, and Commissioners. This is a mobile recreation program in which a vehicle and a trailer are going to be going around to various locations in the community, mainly parks. The trailer will be filled with toys and activities and games geared towards physical activity, among other things. And it'll be staffed by Park and Recreation staff. I know there's a number of other partners involved. Joey Schugel, our rec program supervisor, would have many more exact details than I do, but a coordinator has already been hired to direct and manage that program. It's the first we've had in New Ulm. It's kind of a relatively new wave throughout the country where we're bringing recreation and physical activity to the people, geared towards youth and families, and also towards maybe lesser served populations, some populations that aren't near a park or have a difficulty getting to the recreation center or a park. So we're very excited about it, and we're very thankful for the wonderful grant donation through Alina Health and all the other partners, including the school district and others. I don't know if Assistant Director Corman has anything to add.
I think you pretty much hit everything. I mean, it's a free program. It's free to these kids that can participate in the program. So I'm looking forward. They just kind of started this program heavily in the last couple of years, trying to hit those underserved areas, and meet the needs of those that maybe don't have transportation to get somewhere. So,
Yes, and a schedule has been designed. It will be published and posted so people will know when the unit and the trailer and staff are going to be on location at the various locations, which days and times. So it'll be, a scheduled opportunity for physical fitness and socializing for members of our community.
I would be interested in knowing how this, what generated this thought of doing this. Things like this don't just happen, or, somebody somehow has taken some initiative to do this. I think it's great, and I'm just wondering, how did this come to the fore?
I think this has come to the fruition nationwide and maybe elsewhere around the world to bring activity to lesser served populations and to maybe less mobile populations and underserved populations. The society is changing, it's very dynamic, and people's interests and mobility and availability, socioeconomically and otherwise, has changed and is changing. And so we just want to get people and youth more active and engaged and provide opportunities on a more equitable basis, to all the members of the community. Thank you for the questions.
Okay, then, I've lost track. Did we?
I think we need a motion.
We still need a motion.
we have the
Okay.
motion.
Thank you.
Oh, no, we don't have the motion, sorry.
Can we get a motion on the donations?
I make the motion.
Okay,
We accept the
we have a
donations.
motion.
Second.
And a second to recommend city council accept the donations. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item for new business, metal detection. Metal detecting on city property. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. This is a topic that's been discussed for years in New Ulm, and various park systems, municipal, county, and state and federal park systems have different rules and regulations in regards to metal detecting. Most recently, we had an incident in one of our parks in which a person was kind of digging up holes, was doing metal detecting and digging small holes in the park. And that was disturbing to some of the other visitors, and it was presented to the police department, and the police department went in to discuss that with the individual. Annually, we have requests, that for people calling our office saying they would like to metal detect in the parks. It usually involves digging or disturbing the ground. Digging or disturbing the ground can damage the ground and/or leave trip hazards. There are two broad categories of metal detecting. I would consider one to be recreational metal detecting and the other specific. Recreational usually involves casual searching for any metal object, not necessarily a specific item. Specific metal detecting is normally when an individual or a group is looking for a specific item in a specific location during a specific time period. For instance, someone lost a wedding ring in a park during this reception or this activity, and we know it's in this area, or we think it's in this area. So those are the two broad categories. And so what I'm asking from you today is whether or not you would like staff to research this and come back in the future with some options for you to consider, and ultimately the city council. Presently, City Code 8.64 subdivision 5F prohibits the use of park facilities or equipment in a manner that causes injury to any person or damage any property, or which endangers any person or property. So technically, someone metal detecting who's digging holes, could be cited under this ordinance, but it's not specifically geared towards or directed towards metal detecting. So I want to get your feelings and thoughts on this and how you would like to see staff proceed. One recommendation from me might be to possibly, through the research, consider recommending the prohibition of recreational metal detecting, and then regulate specific metal detecting through a permit system that says, okay, if you come to us and tell us you lost some specific location, we'll give you a permit and we will monitor that activity, and they will still be held liable for any damage to the ground or park or area. So that's a little background, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on the topic. State parks, I know, ban metal detecting, and I think a number of other park systems do also.
Okay, questions? Comments?
You mentioned that this has been discussed, I think, previously, some times in the past.
Yes,
And-
yes.
And it seems to me that it's logical to have, in my opinion, it seems that way. But I'm wondering if there are reasons why nothing has been adopted in the past, and if you can point out what might have been some objections to adopting such a regulation.
Mhm. My understanding is that it's never come formally to the commission or to the city council. Through staff discussions, we were monitoring it. How many incidents do we have a year? If it's one a year and it's minor, might not be worth an ordinance change. But in the 13 years I've been here with the city, it's come up annually. Often the same person, sometimes different people, different groups. Someone coming in looking for the War of 1862 artifacts. Other people coming in and say they're just recreationally looking for coins or rings. And sometimes we get a rare instance that they're looking for a specific item, a specific known lost item. So staff is looking for some direction from the commission, and ultimately the city council if it's something you would desire pursuing.
Thanks for the question. Any other questions?
I would move adoption
And adoption,
of
you want
the,
to recommend the research of possible regulation?
yes.
Okay.
Now, are we talking, Tom, just city parks, right, not city property? Just city parks, so they're not gonna dig at City Hall or the library or the Civic Center? Well, I mean, just city parks.
Yeah, if you recommend staff to do research, we will come up with some information for you to make a decision of. Do you want it just in parks, or do you want it parks and trails, or do you want it on city property? Do we want recreational metal detecting to take place at City Hall, or the library, or the wastewater treatment plant?
My vote would be no on that.
So the ultimate, decision may be that it's any city property, all city property.
Okay, so we have a motion to recommend staff research possible regulation of metal detecting on city property. Second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. On to reports. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. I'm not going to go over everything in the agenda packet as far as updates go, but I certainly would like to call upon Assistant Director Corman to tell us a little bit about the German Park Playground Replacement Project that has begun.
Well, after some delays, lots of delays actually with the weather, work has started on this project. I mean, it started last fall with the excavation of the site, and staff and contractors worked last week on final grading. Hyman Construction was going to be pouring the curbing today. We have the installer in New Ulm on site working on putting together the equipment in pieces, which will be hopefully happen throughout this whole week. And his goal is to have the playground equipment itself installed by the end of the week. I don't have a date when they're gonna be pouring the rubber surfacing, but I would imagine it would be next week. Hopefully next week, so that it, you know, everything falls in line and we don't have to keep that area blocked off for too long, because once playground equipment is up, people wanna use it. The tricky part about the port-in-place surfacing is it's, you know, you have to have the right temperatures, you have to have the right weather conditions, and you have to have, it has to be guarded while it cures. So, stay tuned, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks, that project can be complete.
Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Director Corman. I'll continue to add a couple of other updates I'd like to point out. One being the Harmon Park sand volleyball courts and ice skating areas have recently been, the lighting fixtures have been upgraded. So we have finally been able to complete that project with LED lighting, instant on, instant off, instead of the metal halide lighting. So that, this summer, the sand volleyball enthusiasts will be happy, and of course, next winter, the ice skaters. The Glockenspiel recently has had some of its annual work done. Its annual spring tune-up was completed, along with the installation of 4 replacement figurines. So now I think we have 12 of the 20 or so figurines have been replaced, and we're going to be budgeting to replace 4 more of those next year. If you've been by Lincoln Park lately, you may have seen some pickleball enthusiasts. We had the grand opening and ribbon cutting, thanks to the mayor, at Lincoln Park pickleball courts, a very popular and exciting facility at Lincoln Park. Kiesling Park and House. The facade restoration of Kiesling House is nearing completion. Might even be completed this week. So we're very excited about that. And some fixes we made in the basement with carpeting and sheetrock also. Riverside Park, the main level bathroom will be completed this week. It'll be a very nice, fully handicap accessible restroom when you're on the main level of the Learning Center and the Riverside Park building. And the exterior water faucets have been installed also on the building, so we're able to water plants and water people if we want to cool anyone down this summer. Let's see, what else? Negotiations are continuing with the Steel Junior Hockey franchise and team, and we're optimistic that an agreement will be reached in the not too distant future. Let's see here. Those are kind of some of the highlights I'd like to point out at this moment. Thank you.
With the steel hockey lease negotiation, is there anything the commission should be aware of that would change with the Civic Center space or things that we're discussing?
No, some of the elements in the negotiation include fees, and also the sale and use of alcohol was a negotiation item for during the games. And some modest facility changes, a slight modification in a couple team rooms, and then of course already been authorized. The storage room has got an HVAC component now, so we can use the board storage room underneath the north bleachers as 2 team rooms, which allows us to have 10 team rooms in the building, and the Steel can keep their 2, and we still have 8 to service the other users of the building. So those were some of the major items, and I think we're very close to an agreement.
Great. Any other questions for Director Schmitz? Yeah, Commissioner Slade.
Recreation Center AC and boilers replacements, especially interested in the AC part in the summertime. It gets quite hot and sticky.
Yes.
In the rec center.
The great news is the new chiller has arrived and will be installed by a local HVAC professional company within a week or so, is my understanding. So the old air conditioner is being replaced in the next week or two, and we should be good to go for another couple decades.
And so the reason for it being so hot and humid during the summer is not just because the systems can't handle it, is because the system was insufficient that we had.
Yes, and
So
worn out.
And this will hopefully change that.
Rectify that
Yeah.
and allow us to cool the building down consistently. You bet. And the boiler project is still in the design and discussion and potential budgeting phase. So in the next year or 2 or 3, we will need to budget for boiler replacement at the recreation center.
And that will be a separate item and issue, unrelated to the expansions going on around it, as far as the boiler is concerned?
Well, we have 2 existing boilers, one for the north side, one for the south side of the building. They're both old and in need of replacement. The new additions will probably end up with their own systems.
I see.
Their own new systems is my understanding.
Okay, any other questions for Director Schmitz? Any reports from the commissioners? Okay, thank you. Our next meeting will be June 11th, 4 p.m. here at City Hall. And wish you well. Enjoy the rest of beautiful weather planned for the week. Thanks, everyone.
Meeting adjourned.
Adjourned.
Thank you.